Okay, very good. Okay, wow, that's I think the biggest amount of people we ever had, and no pressure, I guess. But anyway, cool, great. Good to see all of you here, and I hope we all not going to be too much bored today. So, where are we? I guess there's quite some people that never have been here, and so I just will explain a little bit what is happening. So, basically, well, that's the beginning of the new year of workshops, and we have one workshop a week, and hopefully we'll manage to keep it this way, regardless of the crunch time and stuff. And what is this workshops about? Generally, it's basically to whatever we can talk about that is connected somehow to visual effects, even remotely. And the topic today is quite connected, quite a lot. But it can be also very much different things, going to technical stuff, artistic, and so on and so on and so on. These workshops are recorded internally. Please do not record them externally, because we will get into the problems with the with some people that we don't want to get into problems. So please respect my wish. Otherwise, it's usually the workshops are with one presenter. Today is me. Other days can be anyone else. Every time when you have a question, you most welcome to stop and ask, and so on and so on. While presenter is talking, it will be great that everybody will mute their microphones, because I tried to have workshop with the microphones on for everyone, because for presenter it's actually more fun to hear that there are people. Otherwise you're talking to a black monitor and you have no idea. It's kind of weird, but it just didn't work. So let's try to keep microphones off all the time, unless you want to say something or I'm saying something wrong. Regarding saying something wrong, very important, especially for, I have no idea now, really 70% of people, I have no idea who they are. If you are a young compositor and you want to hear something new and you want to learn something, don't believe nothing that you hear on internet or that you hear here without understanding and checking that. There are many things which are said and which people are mentioning in the workshops which not always working, or working not for this case, or not working for you, or just completely wrong. Okay, so we will try as much as possible to not teach you bullshit, but the things are happening, and there are many different ideas about how things supposed to run. Okay, I think that was enough for introduction. Workshop usually is going from 9 till 10, so we're rarely finishing before time, but sometimes we're managing. And I guess if somebody has questions, you can ask now, or we'll start. You have to unmute, of course, otherwise it will be not efficient. Okay, silence. Okay, very good. So, right. I think I will start sharing my screen. There's nothing to see, actually, but no, there will be. At a certain moment there will be, but right now there's nothing to see. Good. I assume you see my screen. Okay, so what is the workshop of today? So there were many requests about how to comp specific things, and we did a few workshops last year about generally theoretical explanation about the materials and how you would maybe approach them, but more theoretical. And then I've got a request, Alexey, we want to know tachles. How do you comp smoke? How do you comp water? How do you comp fire? How do you comp this? How do you comp that? And then well, fine, let's make workshop per element, and then we will have a look on the techniques how to comp specific element. And today's workshop will be fire, because fire is cool, and I was the first to claim this workshop. And let's start to talk about this. So first thing first, I'm going to disappoint you again. There will be not much practical comping, because from the moment I started to prepare, I just realized that, well, there are millions of ways to comp stuff. There are millions of ways to put nodes inside of your node graph. But the most important thing is to understand why you're doing that, and why you're putting this node, and why actually you want to comp the fire inside of your shot. And kind of a little bit again, I'm pulling you back inside of the theory, because there is quite some interesting reactions on my side when I'm looking on the shot of person, which is explaining to me the amazing technique that he used to produce certain result. And there's like stuff that I really don't understand. They're so complex and cool inside of NukeScript, but I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, you can just roto this in 2 minutes. Why you spend now 3 days on creating an amazing setup that you can accomplish in 2 minutes? And the same, why you put in your fire if you can do something else? So I kind of really believe that it's like from the moment you understand how the things is working and why you want to put it there, then it's just you going and you're just going to put it there in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 ways. And that will be the way that you will pick up, that you will learn, and you will do it better than I or anyone else, because you know your way of comping these things. But you need to understand what is the thing that you're comping and why. Okay, so let's go. Fire. So let's start from very beginning. So that's fire. Okay, what is fire? Fire is it's chemical reaction. Okay, and it's happening when you have a carbon-based fuel. Usually, let's go simple. So usually it will be carbon, okay, and usually it will be oxygen, and usually there will be temperature rise. So if you have carbon, if you have oxygen, if you have high temperature, you will have something that's called combustion, and that's the chemical reaction, okay. When combustion is happening, there are few things which going to happen. The first, let's go simple, it's a complete combustion. And that's something that you see on the left side of your screen, and that's something that you have in your kitchen, or some of you. Okay, so when you have methane, for example, as a gas, or butane, or anyway, something that you're using in your kitchen, you have basically gas which is burning, and as a result, you have CO2 and you have H2O. So basically, you have water and you have carbon dioxide. Okay, so why is this important? Let's go. So this reaction is very heat intense and very efficient. Okay, so in the end there is no additional element but these two. Okay, still, why is this important? Because it's going to look different. Okay, so first of all, it's going to be blue flame, and there will be no smoke. It will be two gases basically which are completely transparent. Okay, so and now when we like think about this, okay, when I'm comping something, I need to understand, for example, if you're comping jets are very fuel efficient and they're producing a lot of power, and that's why the fire which is coming out of the jet, it's going to be most likely blue, and you're not going to see any smoke. If jet has problems, then you will have smoke. So that was the complete combustion. There is nothing else. There's just a light which is emitted to all directions, and basically, and as a compositor, you're just plusing it, basically. You can plus it on whatever environment you have. We will get to actual comp, but right now, just from theoretical understanding, since there's nothing visible, there's light that emitted and light you plusing. Okay, we will get later to specifics. Okay, so that was the pure combustion, that was complete combustion. Now, what is incomplete combustion? Incomplete combustion is what you see on the right side of your picture, and that's something that we see mostly in the nature, and mostly fire is going to be incomplete combustion. What does it mean? It means that when you have a fuel and when you have oxygen and reaction is happening, not everything burned. Okay, so some things burned some things and produced very pure CO2, H2O, and some things started to produce some weird stuff that you don't want to breathe. Okay, and here we go with the stuff that we, that as an outcome, you will have smoke, which is black and which is visible, and it's already something which is very important for us compositors, because we did add additional element to our theme. Okay, we have a smoke which is going to receive shadow, which is going to cast shadow. Fire itself is not casting shadow, it's not receiving shadow. Okay, it's not going to occlude light if light will hit the fire. But if fire has a smoke, you will have a shadow, meaning if you have in the middle of the day incomplete combustion and it's sunny day, there will be shadow from the fire on the ground because there is a smoke inside of this fire. Okay, additionally, incomplete combustion is less hot, meaning it's the color of it is not as blue. It's just red and brown because the, I don't know, waves are just different lengths. Okay, so that's why our fireballs, and that's why our stuff which are not as hot, they are less less hot in the color, in the Kelvin. If we're talking about the Kelvin temperatures, so the candle will be 2800 temperature, okay? While sun, which is very hot, will be 2000, not 2000, will be 20,000. And our sunlight is 5,600 when we just walking in a day which is sunny day. So the candle usually is very low temperature and it will be yellow and so on. Okay, so that's very basic definition that we really need to understand when we're comping fire, because there are consequences in the way you're going to comp it, and I already mentioned a few of them, but let's keep going. So that was the pure fire. Okay, what did I have here? Okay, some guy was working, actually I was on creating fire, some student, and I stole a picture from him. So, and that's kind of like, that's the candle, and he already like mentioned here that we have like in very lower part we have full combustion or complete combustion, full combustion. Okay, you see the slightly bluish colors, and we have enough, meaning also quite like it was interesting. So basically, if you have very good mixed oxygen, very good mixed fuel, then there will more chances that everything will burn. But then when you're going higher, there is less temperature, there is less oxygen because oxygen is already burned, and then in the end there's dissipation of the heat. And if you're thinking about the candle, it's interesting, when you're turning it off, it always will give you some smoke, okay? Because there's less combustion and reaction starting to die and starting to be more and more dirty, because not everything is burning and some stuff are going up. Okay, now this is not exactly for you to watch, more for me to follow. Things that I would like to mention. So additional thing about the fire, as I mentioned already, temperature. Now let's talk about more things. Do I have fire here somewhere so you will be not very bored? What do I have here? I have my script. Fire. I will let it play meanwhile. Okay, good. So basically, fire. There is it's physical object. Okay, so we always have to start thinking about additional stuff. So first is the size of the fire. Similar with the water, for example. Like you always want that your fire will be proper size to the scene. Okay, so that it will have proper frequency. It will have proper amplitude. Because like a water, after certain, like fire will hold certain kind of shape of the flame, or certain shape of the if this is like fireball, of the certain shape of the features inside of it. But when it's too big, it will start to look wrong. Okay, I'm now starting to go away from the fire itself, but more to the like general compositing and objects. It's same with the water, that water can look like a little bubble when it's very tiny, but it cannot be this size drop. Okay, only in space, because otherwise it's collapsing. So then another thing, when we're looking on any fire, it's a light emitting object, and that's opening the whole world of compositing, basically regardless to fire, but more about, okay, what's happening when you have light emitting object. Okay, so if we're looking on the fire, and in front of us we see it's quite big, so it is behaving as aerial light. Okay, so basically it's not a point light, but it's light which is emitted from very big object. Okay, so when you're creating shadows, because it's going to cast shadows, okay, you need to consider, okay, how big the fire is. Okay, if fire is big, your shadow is going to be soft. Why? Because you have big object, and I'm kind of pretty frequently showing basically the example of how you're defining the softness of the of your shadow, and you're just defining this by very simple, kind of like you making the picture, you imagining the person which is standing here, and imagining the source of the light. That's the source of the light, and then you're saying, well, light will hit this person here, and light will hit this person here, and that's probably the softness of the shadow is going to be. Okay, so and then it is going to be in shadow, so I'm taking the more kind of like the sides, so that's the softness of the shadow. I'm taking the edges of the light. But now let's make it more simple, because we can just see, well, if the light is huge, the big one, okay, let's undo it. If source of the light is huge, I will just go to the one side of the light, and I will go to the edge of the person. Okay, so that will be the shadow, and then I will go to another and to the same edge of the person. All that, what you see here, it's how soft the shadow is going to be. And with the light, which is kind of very big, it's going to give to you very, very soft shadow because it's emitting from the both sides. Okay? Now, if you're taking the light more far away from the person, of course the shadow is starting, the light is going more far away, meaning this angle is starting to be less and less. But it's already long not connected to fire conversation itself. You may say it's just how light behaves. When light is more far away, the light is more directional, shadows are sharper. Okay? Now, with the fire, and it's very much similar, so that's what we see. You see, this is quite big guy, so shadow is going to be quite soft. I mean, that's not big relatively to person, let's admit, but basically you always need to have this in your in the back of your mind. Another thing is how close is this to the object. Also, that's absolutely crucial, and that's something. If you imagine person which is walking with the fackel, with the torch, okay, if you're moving torch just like that, just close to your face or far away, it's changing drastically the size of the of your shadow. So that's the person, that's the torch, or that's the torch. Okay, if torch is very close, the source of light is very close, the shadow is huge. If it's more far away, the shadow immediately is way, way smaller. Why I'm mentioning that? Because fire is moving by itself. It's moving inside of your scene, and if you want to put fire and you want to sell it properly, you always need to think, okay, where is this in my scene? How far is this from the object? What is the size of this light? Okay, because all of that will affect. Another thing of the light, it's not constant. If you have a flashlight, it's just there. That's the size of the flashlight by itself. Fire is going quite crazy, especially in the wind, meaning it's going to throw your shadow from left and to the right, and so on and so on. So if you're standing here and you have source of light which is doing something like to one direction, then it's going to another direction, and so on. So your shadow is going to kind of like to walk all this distance, left and right, left and right. So, and it's going to do it quite chaotic if your fire is behaving is chaotic in chaotic way. So if you're faking the shadow of the person from the fire, you really need to consider how crazy the fire is. Okay, so quite many things that I think we already can put on our list when we will go and we'll start to comp the fire. Okay, next one. So well, I'm just wrote down heat distortion. Fine, not every fire, but most of the fires will give you the heat distortion. Actually, everyone. Okay, now why is this happening? Again, let's think about that. It's not like fire has a monopoly on heat distortion. Everything which creates the difference in the temperature between inside of some fluid or gas will create distortion. Okay, why? Because when air is starting to be more dense and meeting the air which is less dense, you just have the refraction which is happening. Okay, the crazy example is like when light is going when light is hitting the water. Okay, there's very big difference in the refraction index of the water and oxygen, I don't know, the air, and also depends on the angle, and then you have very, very strong refraction. Okay, so the fire will produce the refraction. If we will have a look here, let's check this out. Yeah, fair enough, we have it. Okay, we see that these little things are moving there. If I will go left, if I will go right, as you can see, it's already disappearing. And if I will go down here, there's also, nobody cares that there is a fire because there's no heat coming towards this direction. Okay, so directionality will be important. Now, how much you're going to break it? There is kind of like, there are examples like to any direction. Okay, I'm usually, when I'm observing that, very frequently you will see that there is very tiny displacement, but there is a lot of blaring happening. Sometimes there is also chromatic aberration involved, which is also kind of like does make sense that if like it's breaking the in certain angle that some waves are going kind of like out of the scale, whatever it is. Okay, so this is quite some observation, and I'm like always recommending go to the YouTube, have a look on the stuff. like just so you will actually understand how the things will look like. But anyway, I think heat distortion, okay, important element, don't overdo it, because I saw also people overdoing that quite a lot. It's supposed to be just combination of some blurriness, some displacement, maybe a little bit chromatic aberration. Better go minimalistic than go and do some After Effects, like, you know, displacement that kind of like frequently happening. Let's go next one. Okay, so I think we are fine with the fire. We already know how to like what is this by itself, and we started already about the relight of the environment. Okay, so we know that we'll cast shadow, and also we know that it will give some light. And fire itself, of course, will obey the same inverse square rule, that it will decay very fast. Okay, so there will be something, but it's not going to go like a sun. It will light your room. I'm showing from the top, that will light all your room, everything, everywhere. Okay, most likely it will light something like that. Okay, so like what you already can see that, for example, these corners will probably stay darker because the distance from these corners to the light are quite far. Okay, usual thing that you need to pay attention what you're relighting and how light is going inside of your room, inside of your picture. One of the things that I see quite frequently, so if it's that will be the frame, and we kind of like see the room, and here we have some fire. Okay, that people will just blur this fire, okay, and just will kind of like say, well, I'm going to relight that. And that will be incorrect, because if your room from the top, again, I will paint something like that, or actually something like that. Okay, that will be the shape, that will be the camera. So most likely you will want to relight this area, you want to relight this area, you definitely want to relight this area, but something which is going more far away, like you have some corridor up there, supposed to stay in the shadow. Okay, so you always need to think, okay, how far the light will go, and not throw stuff just on top of everything. Then we will start soon to just trying to comp some light, some stuff. How it's going to relight, another usual mistake that I see very frequently is just people plussing, because they're saying, well, but Alexey, you in the beginning you told me that light you plussing. Yeah, like that's something that I will come back right now, because I'm doing this. I'm talking about this a huge amount of kind of time on in my workshop. So basically, that's kind of like short of some guys sitting in their room. Okay, fine. And when light is introduced in this room, which we already have, so basically that's the plate, that's how it was shot. Okay, we don't have way to understand to get the shaders themselves. Okay, but each material is reacting on the light differently, and when you're just plussing the light, when you're saying, well, I will just blur it and I will just plus it on top, that's how relight is happening. Of course, it's absolutely nonsense. You shouldn't do it, never ever in your working life. And like I'm usually recommending things, this is not a recommendation, that's something that you're not doing, because when you're plussing on something, it means that material actually didn't have a chance to react on the light. And what is the kind of, how do we see light, is we see just light reflected of the materials, meaning materials kind of like light was emitted from whatever source, it's arrived to some material, something happening, and then it's coming back to our eye. Okay, what is this something? Some of this material is reflected, some of this material, some of this light is reflected, some of this light is absorbed. Okay, and that's how guys are writing shaders in like departments like lighting or look dev and so on and so on. So they're really saying, well, that will react in this way. It will absorb this amount of light, it will reflect this amount of light, the roughness will be certain amount. Now, we are compositors, and usually, like in this picture, we will just get a plate. So they shot it like that, and that's the plate. And we're like, well, but I want to know how the material reacted. Well, you have it. You already have reaction of the material because it's baked, but you have something to work with. Okay, so and in order to work on this light, you can just increase the reaction. So basically, sorry for my kind of like language, maybe not clear, but basically this is all reacted. We know, for example, that this is black or something like black. And this is absorbing a lot of light. And we know that he is specular because it's reacted. And what we can do, we can increase, we can multiply literally, and that will react properly as a light reacting. We're just saying, well, if I will multiply everything which is black will stay black, just because like 0.1 multiplied by 2 will be 0.2. It's little change. But everything which is very, very reacted very well on the light already previously, so we know it will react a lot as well. Okay, so this is our way to affect the scene. So, and that's why everybody's saying, well, just gain it up to increase exposure. Okay, so you gaining this up and you're not changing the material properties. So you're just increasing the amount. You kind of like what was the English word? You basically increasing the intensity of the light. That's it. Okay. Now, if you will go for gamma, and here we're starting to change our material properties. So we're saying, well, actually it was less specular. Okay, and that's something that we want to do sometimes. But basically, you need to be aware of what you're doing now. But if you're just plusing the light, which I will do right now by just moving offset, that's it. That's completely big no-go, okay? Because it will create some effect, but it will not relight the environment, okay? That's the essential thing that I'm mentioning in approximately every workshop of mine, and I still see in comps people just, well, I plussed it. Like, no, you don't want to plus it. You want to multiply this light on your environment, and there are a few ways to do that. We will get there in a moment. Okay, that's very important. And then additional things that light will do. Of course, it will relight environment. Additionally, what's happening? It will relight the atmospherics if there are inside of this environment, and that's usual. Also, things that happening when you have dark night and it's very dusty, or a day which is kind of like very, very dim. And you have a lot of atmospherics particles inside and you don't see them. But from the moment you shine a light on them, you see them very, very well. Okay, that's something that's happening with fire. When you have a fire, you will see some particles around it, or you will see, of course, some haze. Okay, and that's something that I can already learn from this picture, that we have some haziness around the lights. So that's something that we probably will be able to kind of like, okay, we're going to do some haziness, and we'll talk about how to comp haziness maybe if we will have time. But basically, that's where our plus can be handy, although it will be not completely correct physically. All right, shadows mentioned. Motion blur of the fire, that's something which is interesting. That's basically when your flame is emitted, it's kind of like when it's running forward, there is some motion blur, but it's quite sharp for the movement, because some of the flames just emitted on the spot, and that's happening with the object which is emitting the flame and going away. The object in the moment of emission, it will have motion blur, but flame which stayed in the place and it's just disappearing, it could be or it should be very, very sharp. Okay, that's something that in some cases it's important to remember, but I don't think that will be very important for us. Reveal of fire and direct interact with additional lights in the scene. Important that fire, exactly as other light, is not going to interact with additional light which is coming to the scene. They're not going to multiply each other, and that's important part of relight that we will also get to. Okay, so if we will position fire here, this fire should not multiply the relight that was done by the light from the top. Okay, what I'm talking about, they both going to relight the person, let's say, but each one will just have his own contribution. Okay, and usual it's kind of it is mistake in the end, but it's hard to achieve it properly. Usual thing that when we're relighting, like, we'll just multiply our fire on this person which is sitting, and as a result our relight will act stronger in this area of the light and less here, because this is darker, this is brighter. But in real life it's not going to be the case, because in real life your source of light will go to the material, and material will react on this light. Another light will go to the material, and material will react on the other light as well. But these two lights going to be additive to each other. Is this point clear? Silence?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you. Then, meaning when you're trying to relight, probably you would like to make your object as flat as possible, and then you will kind of like create your relight procedure, and we will get there very very soon. Not direct interaction with additional light. Let's see what else I wrote. All right. Okay. Okay. One common log space. So little tip. So when you when you're applying color correction on the light, you probably want to work on the log space. Important, very important, because basically your fire is going to be most likely quite with high values, 7. And if you will try to color grade it from 0 to 1, which is grade node, you really don't want to do that, because it will react not in the way as you expecting. So in many cases you want to go to log space, and then you will see how way more reacting, how the light reacting is just way better, just because you compress everything to the 1, doing your operation, and you're going out of the log space. Okay, so that's very important. That's it. Let's see. Let's touch before we'll jump to actual comp, which I find a little bit kind of like less important, but I know that we're all trying to see. Okay, what we'll do now. Let's see which types of light we have, and maybe I will give a little bit more kind of like what I collected. So you have, for example, light which is a full combustion, and that will be examples. It will be fire inside of on your stove. It will be jet fire. There will be incomplete combustion, which will be basically the burning wood and everything else what you see in the nature, I guess. There, lightning. There's another thing. It's kind of we will not get there, but I would like to mention with the lightning. Lightning is like, it's just natural phenomenon which is happening when you have release of whatever energy and electrons, blah blah blah. What is the most important? Like, I'll just give you a tip that like I think the most important when you're comping the lightnings usually revealing something that we don't see otherwise. Okay, so if you see the night and you have a cloud, and then client is asking, can you put the lightning there? So instead of just, you will find cool lightning somewhere, like, and then you put it on top, and then you'll say, well, but we did relight the environment by multiplying. We just blared and multiplied on the environment. That will be not correct things to do. With the lightning, you want always relight something which is not visible and occlude and tell that lighting is happening somewhere inside of the clouds. Little detour, I guess, there. So I will just bring few, and I will bring 2. Okay, just as an example. Didn't think to do that, but like fine. Okay, let's see. Improvisation. Okay, so we have some sky, which that doesn't. I think that's some stitch. Just give me a second. Input. What is this? Okay, let's try the 1001. Okay, it's JPEG, but I think we'll do the job. Okay, 1001, and then we have a cloud. Okay, so do we have some lightning? I think we do. Just give me a second. Someone remembers the name of the node that we have for lightning?
Tesla.
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 Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's so JPEG, Tesla. Okay, here we go. So we have a lightning, and so the basic thing that probably you will want to kind of like, let's go just no 50. Just a second. Let's try again. I did break my keyboard. Second, my keyboard just had some amount of water here. Let's see. Okay, so we have the Tesla. We will blur it, and we will just multiply it. Okay, so and like and that will be the relight. Okay, I will multiply and merge, and then we will plus it. Okay, and then we'll just grade it a little bit more. Okay, good. guys, ignore that. It's like, no, it's not super amazing and stuff. It's more about the idea. Okay, so that was the relight that we did, and that's the Tesla. Okay, so and like let's say we want it in specific area. We want it only here. Okay, so fine. You kind of like, well, you did something. You put your you put your lightning bolt and you did relight it. But I want you to do is a little bit different thing, that I want that you will relight actually different cloud. This one is not amazing. This is just like, well, that's not the beautiful one. But what you want to do, you want to multiply this cloud on this one. Let's see where we are at. Well, this format is just let me try to put everything in the proper formatting, so it will be easier to work. Okay, so that's what we are, and then we're plussing this thing. So my cloud is probably huge. Okay, something like that. Okay, and so basically what you're doing, you're revealing something which was not visible previously. Okay, and we're doing this now in very, very crazy mad way, of course, a lot. And then you're occluding with another cloud. So basically what you're trying to say, I will occlude both of them, I think. Improvisation, in, out. Okay, and stenciling this, sorry. Okay, let's increase it. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve, basically, I'm trying to tell the just a second, another cloud will come on top as, actually, just give me a second because I don't like what I see. I will not stencil as well. I will just bring another cloud as a layer, as I always explaining to people. In. Okay, good. And then I will explain to you in a second. And like, I know that it's extremely annoying to look at me right now, but I will explain to you what is the basically the idea when you when you're comping the lightning. Okay, so basically instead of just multiplying lightning on environment itself, you would like to say, well, I did reveal something that previously you didn't see. And in this case, we're revealing this kind of cloud, okay? Now, this cloud is definitely not an amazing example because it's quite kind of like white and empty. You can take also the cloud, this cloud itself. I'll just duplicate it, and I will say, well, I will reveal it, but different part of it. And then you can like mush it in some way. So multiply, and that's my reveal. But now I will take different part of this cloud, I will rotate it, so nobody will recognize the cheat. But now I have different area which is revealed here. So when lightning is happening, now I can go stronger. Let's go quiet. I'm revealing something that we kind of like, hey, I didn't see this previously. Okay, like that. Okay, so now we know that this is a duplication and stuff. But now it does look more interesting. And let's cover more of it. That's something. Okay, so that's the idea, not the final execution. But right now we said, well, before lightning we do look like that, and after we do look like that. So you see, now we're revealing something which was never there, and that's with lightnings. Okay, that's the main thing that I find that it's super kind of like useful and super helpful, that to sell it, that it's actually happened somewhere there. Okay, then you need to color correct, blah 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 blah, but the idea is it's to create something like that. Of course, you want to cut your lightning from the trees and so on and so on. Okay, sorry for this detour. It was on my list. Okay, then fire on the sun. Okay, let's skip that. It's different conversations. One thing about sparks. which is also important, that I see many mistakes are made with sparks. Spark, basically, it's I have sparks here, and I'm not going to comp sparks. I just want to play something which is in focus. Okay, good. Okay, sparks, it's a motion blur what you see with the spark. So you need to really understand there's no spark which has the shape of the line, okay? Everything you see when it's shot, it's motion blur of the little grain of glowing material. So when you're applying motion blur to sparks and comp, and for example you have a camera move, let's bring it here, original, fine, input, let's try to find the spark. Hello. Didn't like me, this guy. Okay.
It's because it's starting at 1001.
Yeah, you're right. We need to fix this. I think it was a great idea, but it kind of didn't work in the end. All right, good. Thank you. So when you comping your spark and then you deciding that, not you deciding, there's a camera move from left to right, and you're applying the motion blur, because there is a motion blur has to be applied. You're basically creating wrong motion blur. Okay, so so what's happening now, you have the motion blur that you're motion blurring twice. Okay, I will go for shutter speed a little bit slower so you will see what's happening. And that's not the way how real spark will react on your camera move. And that's something that you need to have in your head when you're creating effect and then somebody asking you, look, there is like this camera move, we have a lot of elements, please put some sparks. Most likely you will put some sparks inside, okay, because you have to, but you need to consider this, that this will look incorrect. Also, viewers and VFX soups are very tolerant to that sometimes. They're like, yeah, well, motion blur, that looks great, but it is fake. It's not how it's supposed to be. How is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be curved motion blur of this dot. It's supposed to be still a dot, just doing very big curve, and not this line, which is just when we have like a real motion blur going from top to bottom and then fake motion blur going to the right side. Okay, something that you need to be aware of, and maybe raise your voice. You're saying, like, look guys, this is not correct, and maybe we should render that, or we should approach it in different way. There are some sparks maybe that we have in our library where a shot with the slow motion, so there is not so much of the motion blur, and we can just add additional one in some way, which is also going to be tricky because you will have to combine two motion blurs again. Okay, so I think it was worth mentioning as a tip, and then let's keep going. We have 15 minutes to comp shot. Let's do it. Okay. So far, actually, questions, something that you would like to mention, something that you think that like was not correct. I think that's good that you guys will contribute if you feel that you would like to.
Maybe you can explain it later, but I'm curious why should be like a curved motion blur instead of a straight line.
Okay. So basically, I can explain it probably, maybe. Okay. So imagine, important, motion blur is happening inside of the sensor. Okay, it's a plane. It's just how it's recording your dot. Okay, and your dot is going from top to bottom, and while it's going from top to bottom, it's leaving the motion blur because it's very fast, and our shutter is open like 180 degrees, so it will leave this dot. Now imagine it's going from top to bottom, and this time you're moving camera. It's going now not top to bottom, but it's just adjusting the trajectory because camera is moving, and this thing doesn't care if camera is moving, its object is moving. This thing doesn't care. It cares only about the light that's coming inside, and your dot previously was going from top to bottom, but now because we're moving the camera, it's not going from top to bottom. It's going top to the left corner, correct? And it will leave a trail. It's not going to go top to bottom and then leave huge fat trail like of the whole motion blur. It's just going to change trajectory. So because how the recording just changed. So basically it was just coming, recording. The camera is moving. It keep recording and going to the left of the sensor. Is it clear? I hope.
Yeah, it's basically clear.
Just think about that when you sing. It's kind of I remember having these conversations like on ELD when we did on a Suicide Squad when we created a lot of, and then we're kind of like, well, let's just think about that and blah 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 blah. But I mean, important to have in your mind, because you never see spark which is not motion blur. That's the point. You always see the motion blur. That's why for our brain it's like, well, that's the object. Let's add motion blur, and that's amazing with a camera motion blur. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. 13 minutes to go. So now, based on these steps, let's try to do very, very fast comp of the fire, and we will see if we will succeed in some way. Okay, it's more for fun, and that's the fun part. So I will take this room of three guys. Let's go to global, and I will try just to comp some fire. I did take some fire that we used on Guardians, and I prepared a mask for a ball. Okay, and basically I have the fireball, and I didn't extract the key yet. We didn't talk about the key, but I think I don't know, we will do something fast because it's okay, good. So, and now there will be some compositing which I would like to go fast, but I don't want to teach you also things that are not correct. So first of all, I will start, or I believe not correct, I will start from the reformat. You can start also from constant if you would like to. Okay, let's start from constant, that's also fine. And then we will merge our background on top of this constant. Okay, so that will be our comp. And here we go. So we prepared the kind of place for our next element. My next element will be this guy, and again I will this time I will go with the reformat, and I will merge it here. Okay, and I will get already kind of like proper resolution. And well, but I have to key it. So let's spend some time on trying to key and or dispel, and again AP dispel, because that's not about that. That will be challenging to comp it. Okay, good. So that will be the dispel, but I want to go quite dark, so I will just kill everything else. Okay, so and I think that's good enough for our dispel. Let's now extract some key. I will bring ABK from your permission. Just maybe it will give me some kind of result. Let's see. Alpha, well, and I will give to IBK some clean screen. Let's see if I have something there. Oh, look at that. That will do the job, I guess. Okay, that will do the job. Okay, I will just freeze it, and I will paint something just to paint out the. I think you want to spend a little bit more time and be kind of like smarter. And by the way, another trick that I can teach you, maybe it's just so basically I will go to the last frame, and then we'll make time echo to get rid of the fire. So time echo, and let's say 10 frames, and since it's on maximum and for some reason there is no minimum option, okay, it will give me even more fire. But if you will go in an invert, you will produce time echo with maximum and then invert back, you're actually getting your minimum, and kind of like it's, you know, easy peasy. So fine, let's assume that's quite cool. I will add the paint just to eliminate more of the stuff. That's not about this tutorial, but fine, fair enough. Okay, good. So we have the clean plate, IBK, color, boom, bam. Let's see if I have alpha here, and I will go back to global view. Okay, that's kind of like, that's fine. Okay, that will do the job. Okay, because right now we're talking about the comping fire, and I think that's important. Okay, so we have the color and we have the alpha, and I will just copy my alpha to my color, And here we go. So I will just add transform here, I guess. Then additionally, as we can see, my bowl is not keyed properly. So I prepared already, was this here? I prepared already a rotor for that. I will just shuffle it out. Bowl, yeah, look at that. And and I will merge it here. So this is alpha that I have, and on top of this alpha, I'll just overing my bowl. So you can see it's quite dirty, like around there, and we have a lot of things. So I will stencil the rest. So basically the garbage mask. Oh, 8 minutes, no pressure. Okay, let's make something like that. I want to preserve some. Let's make like that. Okay. So that will be the garbage mask, okay? And I will say in, out, stencil, okay? And then I will bring my bowl on top of it. This, maybe not stencil, maybe in, the opposite, sorry, my mistake. Okay, so we have the alpha. We did erase everything which is around. We will blur it, so it will be a little bit less nasty, and then we're overing. So okay, I prepared my alpha, okay, and that's kind of like as you can see, I'm preparing separately alpha and preparing separately the dispel. I copied alpha inside of my dispel, and as like you know, I'm not going to multiply it because I already killed all the black, so should be fine. So this is my element of fire. Okay, so I'll just say fire. I will create a stamp fire. Good. Just so I will have it. Merge. I'm not sure I will be able to. 7 minutes to go. Okay, good. So and that's my fire element. I can now bring transform, put it in certain area, but we definitely see that there's like something is definitely not working. So I think we have some negative values, and let's just check this out. Yeah, fair enough. After dispel, so let's clamp it. I'm not going to clamp upper higher values, but I will clamp the lower values only. And let's see how it does look like now. Well, that's starting to look very, very nicely, except a few things. Okay, good. So I will go here. By the way, I see the floor there, and I think I will want to, yeah, we'll deal with this in the moment. Let's position it, okay? So I will position it in a place that I think it can be here, something like that. And yeah, then I kind of, okay, so one thing regarding fire, okay? So I will have to first of all reshuffle some stuff here, because now I do want to cut everything out and bring just this rotor in. Fireball as it will be open. Maybe I can cut it there. No, I don't want to confuse us right now. So let's concentrate on the fire, because there is an important thing that I want to talk. So usual issue that you're going to have black edges. And that's something that you want to avoid. So you can just plus your fire, okay? So if I will go for operation plus, you can see your fire looks pretty well. My dispel was not done amazingly. As we can see, we still have some magenta. You can bring hue correction, and you can correct that, okay? So right now we're just plusing the fire, but you remember in very beginning I was talking about the full combustion, not full combustion. So basically inside of this fire there's a lot of smoke, and there's basically, it's supposed to occlude your background, meaning you do want to have alpha in your fire. But a usual thing that we do, I'm going back to over. What you can do, you can just go to your alpha that was extracted, which was here. That's my alpha. Okay, and what you want to do, you can just erode your alpha inverts. Okay, so you can grade it slightly. Now that's what I'm doing. I'm a little bit freestyling here, and you probably will find better ways, and so on and so on. But basically, basic idea, you will just erode it inwards. okay, and you will blur it. So in this case, you're getting your core of the fire, but your edges are way nicer. So if I will go between plus and over, you can see that there is almost no difference, okay? But in some cases, when your background is quite bright, or you have bright parts in your background, you will see them through the fire, which in real life you will not, because they're supposed to be occluded, okay? So and that will be kind of like the trick that usually you want to use. Right now, for example, if I will disable this and I will enable this back, okay, so this is with enabled, this is with disabled tweak of the edges, this is with enabled, okay? So we definitely have way better edges when we enabling that. Disabled, black edges, enabled, no black edges anymore. Okay, so I did fail to show you actual compositing. We basically can keep going with the next kind of workshop when we actually comping stuff, because what I kind of like really would love to show is how you're multiplying stuff on the objects, but that's something that it's connected to generally to compositing, not just the fire, okay? It's how you're relighting things, how you're letting stuff to affect and other things. I don't want to rush it because I have 3 minutes. I can do it in 1 minute, but then I would like to really dive inside of it a little bit more. Probably we'll move it to the next workshop, and that will be it. Right now, if you have questions, please ask me. And I'm sorry we did not manage actually go for actual compositing of fire. That's why I knew that I will not make it there. Questions?
Oh, cool. Thank you.
No questions. Yeah, you're welcome. So important, if you will take something out of this one, and I believe that will be the most important thing. You have now the list of the things that you need to pay attention when you're comping the fire. To comp fire itself, if you are going one by one of these things that we spoke about, it's enough for you to have a mask and a grade note for everything. Mask and a grade note. You don't need to do fancy stuff and so on and so on and so on. And if you will go and you will pay attention to each one of them, you will comp this fire, okay? Or any fire. I did not have time. Shit. I missed something. Okay, I guess next workshop will start with the things that I did not manage, because I do want to talk about how you're comping CG fire, CG fireballs. I brought examples of the, where is this? Because we had like crazily bad CG footage of explosion, and I would like to show how can you use this and this together to produce result which is actually very nice in the end. So I guess next workshop it will be fire, practical compositing, and then I see some of you there, I guess. Okay, then we're out of time. Thank you very much. Let's start working.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank
you.
Bye. And
Thank you, bye.
Go back to sleep. Mickey.
stop recording.